We've had 20 foster kids, and we've not regretted any of them, even that first one that was 2 weeks before our newborn. So,
Wow.
20.
yeah.
The secret superpower of fostering is that it consistently exposes the fact that you're not the hero. Here's 3 reasons why this is going to radically improve your life. You know what I'm saying?
It's like,
It doesn't
here's 3
fit into
reasons
those
this is
normal
gonna wreck
marketing.
your life.
It's
In a good
way. It hurts real
Life
good.
will never be the same.
Yeah. And so,
The hardest thing you'll ever do.
I'm going to break my heart on purpose over and over again for the sake of the gospel.
And now we have 19 families in
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like that, you know.
No, that's accurate.
It is.
It's not worth it.
These kids come into your house and their lives are shattered, and you're trying to mend their little hearts. And often, every time, that takes a piece of your heart to fill in the place for their heart. And your heart, we just have like pieces of our hearts all over Texas right now.
It's an honor. It's an honor to have our hearts broken over and over again.
Welcome to the Open Homes Initiative podcast, where we enjoy conversations to connect foster, kinship, and adoptive families to real life stories and everyday situations. Our goal with this is to put names and faces to numbers and statistics, because we believe that your story matters to God and as such matters to us. And so we get to jump into another story this morning with one of my favorite families, at least in the big city of Brady. My name's Justin Smith, and I have the joy of sitting here with Logan and JC Rowland as we get to discuss a little bit more of their story with a fun little face staring us down in the meantime. So, tell us a little bit more about y'all. Tell us what's your story, where do y'all come from, what's the background, wherever you want to start. Let's jump in.
Cool. I'm Logan in the Logan and JC pairing, and I am the worship and media director at Redeemer Church in Brady. JC and I have known each other for a lot of our lives. I think technically most of our lives now. And I was not the initiator of the fostering journey. I want to turn that over to JC so you can introduce yourself and talk a little bit about that.
I'm JC. Yeah, I don't know. I just have always had a heart for kids, and I'm not really sure what spurred foster care. Like, I don't know what really spurred it in my heart. I don't know if I saw like a Facebook post or something like that, or maybe a heart gallery. I'm not even sure. It's so long ago. But I told Logan, I think this is something we should do. And he was like, are you sure? And I was like, let's just go to orientation. Let's just go see what it's about. And so we did. And the rest is history. We've been doing this for 8 years in April. So...
yeah, 8 years.
Let's go back a little bit even before that then. So this has been going on for 8 years. How long have y'all been married?
We got married in 2014.
Yeah.
So it's 11
12
years,
years this year.
Yeah,
In October.
In October.
It was a test for you.
In October. I'm not good at math. You know. Yeah.
You've been married 12 years. So I did a residency in Brady before we planted a church.
Yes.
And right at the tail end of that, you were coming on to do their worship. And so that would have been, 2018-ish?
Yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And so y'all were married 4 years, been in Brady now since 2018. And so somewhere right along that whole transition, it sounds like you just wanted to transition your entire life.
Yeah.
Right around that same time frame.
Yes.
All or nothing.
To
Yes.
going to move to Brady, going to jump into fostering. Did you have any kiddos at the time?
We had one.
We had one.
Okay.
And we were actually pregnant with our second.
Yes.
And we actually took our first placement 2 weeks before she was born. So
Okay.
Whirlwind. And we just dive in. You go.
I would like to say that we've learned, but we have not.
We have not.
That's not even the craziest kind of
No.
wild
Right.
decision in this process.
We've had 20 foster kids, and we've not regretted any of them, even that first one that was 2 weeks before our newborn.
20.
Yeah.
How old was that one?
He was 18 months.
8. So you went from, you have one kiddo to 18 months and a
newborn.
newborn. Within a couple.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Yes.
Wow.
And now we have 4 girls. One's adopted. The other 3 are biological. And yeah, we're just rocking and rolling.
We consistently have 6 kids.
Yeah, we
in
have
our
6
home.
kids
That's our
generally.
consistent number.
We laugh because people ask, oh, okay. Or when I meet people, how many kids do you have? Whatever, the normal questions that we get asked. Where do you work? Shake hands. Okay, how many kids do you have? And my response just naturally now is currently 3.
That's what we say. Currently,
Currently 5.
Currently, how many do we have?
And they look at me like
Yes.
I'm like, sorry. They're like, oh, so y'all are pregnant? No, we're not pregnant, but at any given moment, we may have one come, one go.
3 to 5.
Sometimes it's
Two
fun
come.
where you can be like, yesterday.
Yesterday had 5, but
Yes.
since you asked today,
Yeah.
I only have 3.
Yes.
So that's our story. So I love that. So typically you have 6 in the home. 4 of those never leave.
Never leave.
And 2 of those can come in, come out.
Yep.
Neither one of us grew up in large.
Yeah.
It depends on what you consider large. 4 is often
4 is
considered
considered
large.
large.
I grew up
that was
with
my
3. JC grew up with 4. And so 6 was not something on my radar.
Yes.
It did, I think, end up on JC's. JC grew up with her mom running a daycare, an in-home daycare.
Okay.
And so she was used to just having kids around all the time.
And then I transitioned to doing a home daycare.
Yes.
And then we went straight into having our own children. And so it's like, the more the merrier.
She's almost always been a mom, you know, and so it was a bit more of a okay
Yes.
for me on most of the things. So
I can see that. I've walked up to y'all's house and the front yard there's kids that live here. And I
Yeah.
love
Yes.
that. There is
Yes.
life that happens in this house. And it's not like chaotic, massive messes, but there's bikes and there's
Yeah.
toys
Yes.
and there's life that happens on this front porch.
yeah.
And it's fun to see on that. So let's talk, a little bit more about the whole process of getting into fostering. So you can't picture a time or a specific event that the Lord started to use to kind of move you this direction.
I have always loved kids.
Yeah.
From the time I remember I was taking care of kids. Like he said, my mom did home daycare, and I remember that started when I was like 2, and my mom says I was trying to mother these children at the age of
Okay.
2. I was like, they need a diaper change or whatever. And so I've just always loved kids. I remember being in like middle school, high school, and adoption came on my radar from somewhere. I don't know if I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know if I had, I don't know where it came from, but I remember seeing kids on the internet that needed to be adopted and like just feeling a tug towards that. So that was way earlier before marriage was even on my radar. That was on my radar.
So it's just been there almost.
I was a means to an end.
You were, I mean, what is the most effective way to have kids?
That's right.
I guess I should get married with this guy.
Logan's all
and
right.
Keep him around.
Yeah.
and I want to spend time with him. So I guess he needs a job,
Yeah.
whatever the
Yes.
case may be. So what does that look like then? So this wasn't on your radar. It was a process, I'm sure it was for me.
Yeah.
Chelsea, oftentimes this happens. I think most of the interviews I've done, the wife has this nudge or this tug or this desire to care for these vulnerable kids, these lost and forgotten parts of our society. And then the dads in general are brought along, and it takes a little bit of shaping and molding for us. What did that look like for y'all?
Yeah, I'm pretty slow to make big decisions kind of thing. And so definitely was intimidated by it. And I was slower to wanting to start having kids than JC was. Not because I didn't want to have kids. I did want to have kids. I felt too young to have kids. I was like, I don't, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Maturity level, all of that. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And we've started to have kids. And it's okay, this is our new life now. And then she brings this up, and I'm like, have you lost your mind? What are we talking about? What are you doing? And like she said, it was just let's go to the orientation or whatever at a agency.
I was going to say, so what did
Brownwood.
an orientation look like?
Yeah.
Was it just like an informational?
Yeah.
It was. We sat down and talked to a lady, and she gave us all the ins and outs of what foster care looked like. I feel like she did a really good job, actually.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah,
Was it-
I did. I felt like she did a really good job because we left there and Logan was like all on board. I feel like he was like,
Okay.
maybe not 100% on board, maybe like 95% on board. But she did a really good job explaining what it would look like, what a home study would look like, all the things. And yeah, we left there and started the process. That's how that went. So
it was good and it was accurate. JC and I have talked about for years, hey, we desperately need more foster parents, but I have no idea how to pitch this thing to people in a way that marketing wise, I've got a marketing mind.
Yes.
All of that. I work on that.
Yeah, you're, as we
Normally.
talked about earlier, you're not the one normally in front of the mic. You're
Right.
normally the one behind the cameras that are making
so-
others feel uncomfortable in this.
And fostering is one I've had a really hard time outside of the gospel compels
Okay.
than to pitch to people.
Okay.
Because it comes with, it's not, hey, do this and here's 3 reasons why this is going to radically improve your life. You know what I'm saying?
It's like,
It doesn't
here's 3
fit into
reasons this
those
is
normal
gonna wreck
marketing.
your life. In a good way.
It hurts real
Life
good.
will never be the same.
Yeah. And so,
The hardest thing you'll ever do.
but she did a good job
Great.
in that orientation of setting expectations. But we had been praying about it. I had been praying about it and being moved by the Lord in compassion, I think is such a huge initiator, and compassion for those on the outside, those, why couldn't it be us? Why shouldn't it be us? And if it's not us, we won't do it anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like waiting around to not step into something because you're afraid is not, in the same way it was like we were never going to be ready to have kids. We were never going to be ready to start fostering. And so you just have to step forward and say, Lord, if this is yours, we'll follow you
Yeah.
as far as you'll take it.
I laugh I don't know that laugh's the right word, but I tell people consistently that, 1, I'm the most selfish person in the world. And 2, there's things in my life that have brought that back to the surface consistently. The first time that I really noticed how selfish I really was when I got married. I was like, hold up, wait, I've got to share life with this. This is different than just dating. And then the next thing, like we get that kind of down a little bit, and then we moved to having kids. And I was like, I thought I had some stuff under control, and then I had kids. And then for me, fostering has been one of those next kind of things where it's, it's a sacrifice. This is rough. But yeah, that selfish side of things, you're never quite ready for that. But what are you mentioned in there being afraid. What are some of the fears? Can we name any of those? Anything come to mind initially? What are some of the fears that y'all had moving into fostering?
At the beginning, not so much. I didn't really have a whole lot. It was just, let's do this. I know it needs, like, somebody.
I've been dreaming of this since I was in junior high.
Somebody needs to do this. And why not? Why not? Let's just do it.
Let's just go.
I feel like the more kids we had and the older our kids get, the more I was concerned about, like, how it was going to affect our kids. And it's only ever, like, if I think about, like, how is it affecting our kids, it's only ever affected our kids positively, I think. They get really sad when they leave, but that's not negative. Being sad about loving somebody is not a negative thing. And so I think it's just been a positive thing. So that was my biggest fear, really my only fear that I can think of. Just like, how is this going to affect our kids when they leave, when they come, when the kids are really difficult? And we've had kids that you could probably classify as abusive to our other children. Like, how is this going to affect our kids?
Yes.
And it still has just...
Yeah, the Lord's been gracious in all of that.
That's a massive fear. Any others that come to mind? And we'll come back to that.
I think inadequacy. Are we enough to heal this child? I know we're not doing it alone. We've got community. We've got, obviously, the Lord's hand in everything. Are we enough to even help heal a child from trauma? And are we enough to deal with trauma? Are we going to know enough, do enough trainings?
Surely there's somebody better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's bound to be. I think that with my own kids sometimes. Like, there's probably better parents out there.
Why did the Lord pick me to be their mom?
Yeah.
This makes no sense. I love them too much for me to be their mom.
Yes. Yeah, I would say very similar fears of it being too much and a family drowning in the midst of, man, we just got so much going on. Yeah. And that fear still stands. That's not one of those that just easily goes away. So are we gonna make it through this season?
I think that depends on the placement too.
Yes.
Like right now we have 2 infants. Super easy.
Okay.
Just
which is
infants.
crazy to say.
Yeah.
That's what I was just thinking. I was like,
Crazy
that
to say.
sounds...
Not a lot of residual effects from trauma
Yes.
yet. And
Yes.
so it's just easy. You feed them and you put them to sleep and you change their diapers and those things. But when you have a 7-year-old come into your house, that's a totally different ballgame than having infants in your house. So
Maybe easy makes sense for us. Maybe a better word for people listening might be simpler. There's some simplicity that comes to all I need to do is make sure this baby is fed, clothed, and cleaned, and gets enough
and staying
sleep.
developmentally on
Track.
target.
It's different than managing the emotions of a 5-6-year-old who's no longer in their home and has been traumatized by the reasons why they left. Those are very different.
Absolutely. So you're bringing up a lot more fears for other people.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
What? Oh.
I think the inadequacy is definitely one. There's nothing. JC and I was were talking about this a few weeks ago as I was preparing a sermon, and there's not much that reveals how impoverished you are as a parent than not only am I struggling I'm hoping I'm doing a reasonably good job with my own that the Lord has given to me. But the Lord is now giving me some that the amount of times I have no idea. I don't know your history. I don't know. We've had kids come into our home that were deathly afraid of me.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know how to help you. I want to help you. I think what you need in your life is a man that you can trust and you can form a bond with. I think you desperately need that for your development. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to help you get there. It's by God's grace that we've seen that happen.
Yes.
But it's in those moments of just absolute trying to change a diaper and they want to claw their eyes out to get away from you, that you're just like, maybe it's not. Maybe I don't have what it takes. And so those fears are for sure get revealed. Not to mention, often things, whether it's babies or children who are having withdrawals for whatever reason, or just feel unsafe in the home, 3 o'clock in the morning is like happening all of the time. And so you do that for several weeks in a row. Nobody's kind when they're tired. And so it becomes a major revealing of my selfishness, of our selfishness.
Yeah.
When I want to be kind and compassionate and empathetic, but I also just really want to go to sleep. And so
I know that feeling all too well. Yes.
And that suddenly starts to open up, who am I? And how do I cling to the gospel in the midst of that? And how do I not only have compassion for the children, but compassion and empathy for myself, and for my wife in the midst of that, and for our children? Because you always end up having the moments where you're like, oh, we need to spend a little more time and attention with this one who's now crying out to us because we've had to divert some of our attention over here. And
Wow. Yeah. I think that fear-wise, I think those are definitely a couple common ones that people talk about. What is it going to do to my kids, my bio kids? How will this affect them? And then, am I enough?
Yeah.
It's, do I have what it takes? Would be, I think, where your sermon went the other day, or where the Jason Johnson kind of encouragement comes from. Oftentimes, do I have what it takes? But then I think that next fear does come in that we mentioned. How do I deal with these situations? And oftentimes you hear some of those stories, but I think it blossoms out of do I have what it takes? Am I enough? But then you start to see and experience some of those things, and you go, am I even equipped? Maybe would be the next kind of question in there. But let's talk through maybe some of those then, just because y'all brought them up. What have you seen to be the effects on your kids, positive and or negative, in the last 8 years? Y'all have had 20 kids come through. We're at 15, and so we've got a number of stories as well that we could talk about. But what are some of the positive, negatives, neutrals, effects on kids?
I would say positively, our kids, I feel like, I say this consistently, I've said it probably since year one, I feel like our kids have taught us more about God's love than I've ever learned from anybody else in my life. Watching them welcome kids into our home, and they just love them. They're very good at that. So I'd say that's positive. Also, just learning that there's kids that come from really hard places. We don't go into detail with our kids. They're young and it's not their story. We'll tell them just enough so they realize that these kids need to be somewhere else, not with their families. And then the goal is to have them back, to reunify them with their family, and just trying to explain that to them. Like, why would we want them there if it's not safe? And then we get to explain that's the family God gave them. Like, the hope is for them to get to go back there. And so I think they've learned a lot through it that I hope carries them into their adulthood about compassion and grace. Lots of grace. I think going into foster care, I think we had a different view probably year one, year two, even about biological parents than we have now. A whole lot more grace is given, at least from me. I don't know personally. for me to parents, biological parents. There was a lot of, I don't know, the way I felt about them early on was more like, how could you do that? Why would you do that? And now, 8 years in, I'm like, I get it. Like, I don't get it. There's things I don't get,
Yes.
but I can have compassion and grace for you. And I care about you, not just your kids. And I don't even want to say it out loud. But I didn't early on. It was harder for me to care. I was focused on the kids.
What we're talking on this, the reason we're doing the podcast, right, is to put names and faces with numbers and statistics. Everybody's got something in the back of their mind. This is what foster care looks like. This is what bio parents look like. This is what adoption looks like. And the more that you actually engage in those arenas, the more that you put names and faces to those numbers. And
Just warp and change.
Because once you start to know somebody by name and hear their
changes
story
everything.
and understand the background and the lineage or the generational effects or the one choice that sent them down this spiral, right?
Yeah.
And it shifts everything about the way that you interact with them. And then the next person going in, you go, okay, I know this person's story and I'm willing to enter into the next one because their story matters.
Yeah. I think that's where our parenting being revealed to us, like is actually God's grace upon us. JC and I have constantly said, like, we're just kids trying to raise kids. And you come to this point where it's, I feel like I am so lucky and so blessed that both JC and I have parents that are not divorced. Our parents are together, love one another, have good relationships. And we have, I would not say that is the reality for even a lot of our peers and our friends.
Absolutely.
And so there's a little bit of, man, we've been so blessed that it's not something that we've earned, that we would have this. And if we know the depths of our sin with a stable family, with parents who, flawed as we are, did their best, introduced us to Jesus, prayed over us, still pray over us today. All of those things that you long for, even as a parent of your own kids, we know the depth of our own sin in the midst of that. And so, man, if we didn't have that, who knows what kind of people we would be? You know what I'm saying? Who knows what kind of situations we would be in?
Situation.
And empathy and compassion are not tools for justification. They're tools for understanding.
Yeah.
We need to be able to understand one another. We need to be able to, I think that's why Scripture is so potent in the way that it uses stories and not just fancy statements. It's, I'm going to sit with this story about a man who does a lot of good things and does a lot of bad things. And I don't like all the bad things he does. And I really like some of the good things. But the Lord meets him in it. You know what I'm saying? That's over and over again.
I was listening through
scriptures.
some Genesis stuff this morning.
Yes.
Abraham.
That's exactly who I was thinking of. Abraham.
Oh, that's awesome. How did you make that decision?
Yes.
You're supposed to,
Just constantly. He's not a hero of the faith because he was just an awesome, like, superhero. He's a hero of the faith because the Lord sustained him through all of his mess.
Absolutely.
And so that, I think, is the thing that reveals for parents. I think some of the hard things for our kids are they get exposed to things earlier than we would want them to be. That happens. They learn words that you're just like, we're homeschooling, so that's gotta be either them or the teachers. What are we doing?
What is the teacher doing?
Let me check that curriculum real fast. And then also there is the requirement of intentionality that's needed so much for your own kids to make sure they don't get left behind in the process.
Other kids' greater needs.
Yes.
Our kids who are they just go with the flow and do things. It's easy to kind of forget their needs or push them aside because do
you have any idea what this kid's going through right now? That kind of thing.
I think the compassion and empathy part, though, of foster care, I feel like the gospel introduces you to not just thinking about yourself, but thinking of others' needs. But foster care has given me that on top of already knowing that, it's given me a compassion and empathy for some of our friends that have gone through stuff as children that I probably wouldn't think much of because it was a history. But now I think this has transformed you into who you are today. And I just see the hurt and it's okay. it's just made me more compassionate towards those things too, because it's like, you're an adult now, you can just move on, but you can't just move past trauma. You don't just
Right.
move on. And I don't think I would have thought of that had we not been fostering, because I don't have extreme trauma in my history, my past.
Right.
And so it's given me more perspective on adults that have had trauma in their past too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think that comes naturally. I don't think that's a natural byproduct of fostering. I think that any system absent of the gospel and the spirit tends to form us toward, there's a lot of anger and frustration in the foster care. There's a very, I would say, like a spirit of lack of patience, a lack of empathy that I've seen in the foster care system, that there have been situations where we as foster parents have had to lobby and advocate for parents, for kids, because it's like, no, they don't deserve it. And it's like, oh, who are we? Who are you to say they can't? And I think it's very important to have a community around you and to abide in Christ in the midst of it, so that your heart and mind is formed towards his compassion and his grace and his mercy, and not just kicked around by a broken system that will form you into a monster. And
We serve a God who is redemptive and full of redemption. Then who are we to say somebody isn't worthy of redemption?
That's incredible. We've played through the fear of what this will do to my kids. Let's look more at the inadequacy fear. Like, where have y'all found, and you've spoken some to it already, but I've got a couple questions just on that. What have you found yourself to be adequate? Kind of load that one up. And what are some of the maybe routines or disciplines that you've put in place to remind you of where your adequacy comes from, reshaping your identity when in the midst of the doubts and failures, those kinds of things. Does that make sense?
I would say for inadequacy, we had our second placement. We had them almost 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, they were being adopted by a family, and we still felt inadequate. And it's like, we had you for 2 years and you grew so much. Like they really did. They improved so much in so many areas. But it was like, we still feel like we're lacking something that you need in this time. So I don't know that the inadequacy part gets... Yeah, we've been doing it 8 years now, and I still am like, every time a kid comes in, you have to learn their triggers and learn what they need and how do they go to sleep. We have one right now that's just struggling to go to sleep, but it's like, you just have to learn every time, and sometimes you get to the end of a year or 2 years or 6 months and you still feel inadequate for that kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not a really good answer.
No, it's a great
is.
answer. I think that's where the beauty of like foster care, parenting already exposes your inadequacies, like you were saying earlier, just like your marriage does. It's a sanctification process, all of that. Foster care is almost like the Monster Energy version of it, where it's just, as we're going to crank the caffeine up on
Especially
this.
if you did it the way y'all do. We just have one, we're about to have another, we're going to add.
Yes. But there are parts of getting into foster care that you start with that then becomes a battle all the way through within your own heart. And that is... I want to be the hero.
Okay.
I have this sense that, man, I want to rescue these kids. My heart has been moved with compassion. I think it comes from a good place. My heart has been moved with compassion, and I think because of where I'm at in my life, that we can fix this. We can give you a safe home.
Well, I think you hear that in what JC just mentioned. Just the idea of, I had them for 2 years. They should be fixed.
Yeah.
By the time they leave my house.
Yeah.
If I'm doing everything right.
Yes.
Then I can be the one to reset years or generations of trauma or effects. And if I don't, then I'm a failure.
I'm a failure.
Yeah.
I actually had a very seasoned foster and adoptive parent tell me when we were in that season we had been 2 years, we had been asked to adopt these kids, and we were like, we don't want to be done fostering. We just started. We feel like we're called to foster. We don't want to just stop. And it would have had our house full. And anyway, he told me, he said, sometimes your place, like a kid gets removed, your job as a foster parent is to get them to point A, from point A to maybe point F. But sometimes your job's not to get them all the way to point Z. That's somebody else's job. And you have to allow space for you to give up that, like, control and
Yes.
let somebody else help get them further.
Absolutely.
And so that helped me be like, okay, we're not technically inadequate. We did move them from A to wherever, and we're moving on. And we have been in contact with those kids, and they've grown tremendously. They are thriving in their new home environment. And so it was like, okay, I can see now that it wasn't our job. Like our job was to get them to where we got them to a much healthier place. And it was their mom and dad's job to get them further. So I think that's been helpful with the whole inadequate feeling. Is I just have to remember sometimes it's not our job to fix kids. That's not our job. Our job is to keep kids safe and loved in a time when they need it most. So
We don't have to be the hero.
Yeah.
And then I cut you off.
Yeah.
thank goodness we don't have to be the hero.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the secret superpower
Yeah.
of fostering, is that it consistently exposes the fact that you're not the hero.
Yes.
You can't be the hero. And as much as I want to be able to fix it, that you spend most of your time 3:00 in the morning with almost in tears with kids that are screaming or crying, don't feel safe.
Being
Going-
fixed yourself.
Yeah. I can't fix this for you.
Yes.
And so I think consistently being reminded that I am not the hero is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to lead me to give up fostering, or give up because I don't have the tools, I don't have the right things.
Yes.
Or it's going to cause me to have to reframe who I think is at the center of this thing
Absolutely.
anyways.
Absolutely.
I am not the hero. These children do not even belong to me. Not even in the sense of they belong to somebody else. They belong to their creator. They
Right.
belong
Absolutely.
to their father who formed them in the womb and created them for today.
Yeah.
And I consistently am going to find myself not adequate. JC's going to consistently find herself not adequate. And that is actually the place where God's grace is the most potent.
Absolutely.
And it's the thing that can sustain us to the end. Because if it was up to whether or not we've had 20 kids come through our home, and I am not super pumped about our success rate based on what we thought we could do at the beginning. I look at the faces on pictures. Recently, JC sent me a whole bunch, all of them. I was looking through them, and I was like, man, I wish we could get a shot at that one again. I wish we could do
We know
that
more
again.
now.
We know more now.
Yes.
We could help better, I think. But the Lord is faithful in the midst of all of that, and realizing that He is the hero of the story allows us to not only move forward, but I think move forward even more confidently than if it was just up to me and up to JC and our own strength.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I think those are key to put kind of two of those things together. There's scripture to answer more like the disciplines side of that. It's that constant reminding myself of these truths, right? And maybe that looks like something early in the morning. Oftentimes we don't get that because kids are waking up at whichever times that we were up at 3:00 in the morning or whatever the case may be. But sometime throughout the day, just a consistent reminder of this is the reality, this is who God is, and this is who He's called me to be in light of that. Just helps. And there's one verse or one thing that Chelsea and I consistently remind ourselves of this, and it touches into both of these situations. And it's in Acts 17. Paul is talking to a crowd, has nothing to do with foster care, but he makes this charge to them, or he makes this comment to them that he says that every person, and this is my own version, so it says that every person is exactly where God has placed them on purpose, because that gives them the best chance to find Him. And so we sit there and think that. I think that through my own kids. I think that the kids that are in my care for however long that I have them. You mentioned it, going back to their families. We go, why do we want them to go back? How can this be the best place for them? And you mentioned this is the family God gave them. And there's Acts 17 instantly comes to mind for me. And so whenever a kid's going home, whenever I'm wrestling with if I agree with the judge's decision or not, whenever I'm trying to navigate dealing with the attorneys and their thought processes or CPS, all of these things, and I go, I disagree, or I don't like where this is headed, or I do like where this is headed, that thought comes back. God loves them far more than I ever could, and He has placed them at the exact place, exact point in history, the exact moment in time, the exact location on this planet that gives them the best chance to find Him. And then my heart can find rest in that, because like you said, we're not the hero.
Yeah.
He is, and he's already orchestrating and working those things out. So it takes both of those. What will this do to us, our family, all of these things, and am I adequate? And it just puts it right back on him, which is
Yeah. And it's not a cop out, right? It's not a, oh, God's got this kind of vibe
Right.
that is just hands off or whatever. It's what I think is beautiful about the gospel and an invitation into, if I'm a follower of Jesus, I'm called to a ministry. I'm called to follow Jesus and to go throughout the ends of the earth and
right.
teaching and baptizing, all of those things. Every single one of us are, not just pastors, not just. And so I think the way that it's not a cop-out is that it is a big picture view of the world.
Yes.
What we discovered in the foster care system is everything that we think is simple is far more complex than what we've ever imagined.
Yes.
There's actually a cognitive bias called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and it's this idea that the less you know about something, the more confident you are about it. And so that's why everybody thinks they can fix all of politics, or even know somebody that gets into politics and they've got all of these big plans. They finally get elected, and then 4 years later, and it's like they're ragged.
Yes.
They look way older, and they didn't do half of the things they said they were going to do. It's because once you get into the complex mess of everything, you discover, the bell curve goes the other direction, that the more I know, the more I realize I have no idea.
Yeah.
And God being the one who sustains the stories of all of us is not a cop-out. It is actually a realistic view of the world and of the complexities of the world, that I don't know what the best thing is for this kid. I wish I did. I don't know what the best thing is for the parents. I think I've got some ideas, but I don't know. But I'm going to trust that God is who he says he is, that he is good and gracious, compassionate and loving and long-suffering. That's who he's revealed himself to be. He's a God who also has revealed himself as one who suffers with us. And so I'm going to trust that in the midst of all of this, his goodness is going to ring true to the end. Absolutely. And so I think that it can feel like I don't know. Maybe
Some
God's
people
got
look
it.
at it and go, it's a cop-out, but it's not. It's a grounding. It's a foundation.
I don't have any other way to hold the complexities of the world and of these families and of these stories in front of me without saying, hey, the only way that this makes sense in this world is to say that the Lord will sustain to the end, and he's promised redemption.
That he knows every one of these stories.
Yes.
And every up, every down he's involved in. But not only that, every injustice will be paid for or has been paid for. And there's so much.
And will be made right.
And will be made right.
Yeah, not just that there was a punishment for it. It will be corrected. Yes. It will be made right. And that's
the hope. Yeah, the hope. I can't personally imagine walking through the ups and the downs, the joys and the sorrows, entering into the stories that we enter into, knowing the things that we know about the events of these kids' lives.
Yes.
Without having that foundation.
Yeah.
The difficulty of trying to navigate that apart from a savior and knowing the end of the story.
Yeah.
I can't bear that weight.
Yeah.
So I love that you bring that out. Since so much of this is centered on the gospel, you are a pastor, y'all are in church ministry, you've centered your lives much around that aspect. How is your community then? How has the church come alongside y'all in this journey? Has the church, is this we're a Lone Ranger thing and we show up to church with our 6 kids depending on the week and people know us or they don't? Or is there some depth to some of those relationships?
We have a really good community. I feel like we have, our small group has consistently been there to offer just support, even if it's, can I hold a baby while you look like you're struggling, can I hold a baby? But also just financially, last year we had some kids going home and their mom had nothing for them. And so it was like, hey, we need to get some things for this mom. So she's set up for success.
Okay.
And our GC stepped up and we had some very generous donors and we were able to get them several things, a toy box and a table.
More than what she was even asking for.
Yeah, a double stroller. And so we were able to offer that for her, and that set her up in a much better light than she would have been with nothing. She had beds for the kids. That was pretty much it. And we've just seen that consistently. We've had people in our church step up and bring clothes, diapers, food. just give us some money. So here, whatever you need, here's this. And so I feel like we have a really good community. A lot of the people in our church share the same, it's the gospel, right? You're supposed to love the orphans.
It's unifying. Yeah.
But a lot of them show that to us. They don't foster, but they are supportive in other ways. And so
I think in there, one of the beautiful things for the church also, when somebody enters into foster care, there's not just the kids that are affected. And you mentioned that in particular. The church has an opportunity then to come alongside bio mom in that situation and enter into that story and potentially help change a legacy and generational effects that could come from that. And ideally, relationships can then be formed even in that context. And so in this, the way that open homes can come alongside churches is in that we go, okay, we start here with the fostering, but there's a reason that kids get pulled in the foster system in the first place. And can we go upstream and can we change some of the things that are going on up there? And then there's what's going to happen next, and it's going to be downstream. And can we make sure that a mom or a house is stable and secure and that they know where to turn if something does come up? And so hopefully, ideally, in that situation, they're going, okay, this church loved me enough here.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to go through this. I'm starting to see some patterns. Maybe I can reach out for help.
Yeah, we actually, so those kids went home maybe 2 years ago now. I don't even know. Yeah, I guess 2 years ago because we had.
It's hard to keep up with.
It is. It's hard to figure out when. And so they went back to mom this last 2 falls ago. And a couple of weeks ago, she reached out and was desperate for help again. And so she knew that we were a safe place to be brutally honest with and be like, this is what I'm doing. I need help with this. And I probably spent 10 hours on the phone, texting and on the phone this last weekend.
It's been like a full-time job for her.
Yeah, trying to set up for her to be able to just simply get a fridge and a stove, which people take for granted, simple things like that, so she could move into a safe home and keep her kids. And so I was like, man, you worked so hard to get them back. But we're going to do everything we can to let you keep them. And,
it's hard because she lives in a different town.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good distance away.
It is.
And so.
Fortunately, we have some family and friends that live nearby, and they have stepped up and are helping navigate that too.
They're the boots on the ground.
Yeah. So having community living in Texas and having big families and stuff like that has been a tremendous blessing too. And having family that also loves Jesus. And we see your passion for this and your compassion for this mom, and we want to help you. Where can we help?
There's also a plug for the Redeemer Network. Just throwing that out there. It's like there's a local Redeemer church there that was able to reach out to the pastor and say, hey, this mom's moving into your domain and she needs help. And more than that, what we long for is she needs community.
Yes.
Yeah.
She needs community, and here's her number.
That's cool.
That kind of thing.
And of course, without hesitation. Yeah. Where can we want to get her connected, and how can I help? So
as far as how the church has helped us, our porch constantly, you walk out and go, there's a bag. We don't even know who this came from. But so it's been really great.
I'm determined people are scared to knock on our door.
Yes.
They probably hear yelling and screaming, and they're just like, back away, drop the bag, and back away. Just crying,
It's a wild house.
I've done my part.
It's a wild house. Our neighbors keep moving. But
I doubt that's y'all's fault. But
literally the neighbors, like directly beside us, keep moving. So we're questioning whether it's our fault.
Is it somebody else?
The one thing that came to mind in my head is we not only has the church, and is the church still learning how to help foster parents. That's something that they're learning. We also have to learn to be helped. It's a really difficult thing to figure out. People consistently, we've heard, hey, how can we help you? And it's not always an easy answer.
I think it's easier when you have 6 kids. You want people to, you at least want to perceive or be perceived as adequate.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And so you don't want people looking at you and be like, maybe you just shouldn't have 6 kids. That's the realistic answer. Just don't have 6 kids. So you want to look like you have it all together.
Yeah.
We're doing this.
We're fine.
We're doing it. So we don't need your help. But to ask for
the
help.
hero side of that comes in.
Yeah.
All the fears are in there. We go, no, this is who I have to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
And to be willing to go, I don't have to be that because Jesus was. And
And
how
it's
do you
hard when
become
you're
a
like,
person-
this is a calling that we feel like we've had. And so we don't want you to think we're just doing this, other people to think we're doing this when it isn't our calling. Like maybe y'all should just step out for a little bit. It's no, this is what we want to do. It's been life-giving to us.
There's a burning in our bones, to borrow from Jeremiah. This is the thing. And how do you become a person who is good at receiving help, good at naming the help? And it's not always easy to It's actually, you could help, but you need to get fingerprinted. You need to, there needs to be a background check, all kinds
You
of
have to
stuff.
do trainings,
There's a lot of red tape, but if we can get across that finish line, there's a lot of ways that you can help us.
Yeah, just babysitting would be.
Yes. But that's that's more than
takes
just,
more on their part.
Yes.
To be willing to step into that.
And-
There's definitely varying levels of, some people can just do, not everybody can do everything, but everybody can do something. Mindset. And some move all the way to the babysitting or the respite side of things.
Yeah.
But even the little things help.
That is something we've longed for, though. In 8 years, we've longed for somebody local, because if we have an emergency or something and we need our kids, or even just we just need a break for a weekend, we don't really have anybody.
Yeah.
And so that's something we've longed for. And it's hard to not convince people, but this is something we need to be able to sustain us, which now people look at us and like, yeah, you've made it 8 years, you're fine. And I'm like, at some point, we still need it. So
Y'all young enough, the grays aren't even showing up yet. Mine's filling out.
He's had a
Don't look
couple.
at
They're starting to pop up.
Don't look at my beard too close. Yeah. It's hard, but it's what we're really excited about, what y'all are doing with Open Homes Initiative. Got really excited about Rowlands Village whenever we went to that, because we personally have seen a lot of foster homes get eaten alive in Brady, Texas. There's not a local agency there that is like, all of our agencies are out of any agencies
we
we've been a
currently,
part
as
of.
it stands, we know no other foster families in Brady.
No.
Last I heard, there was like 2 kinship families and nobody else.
Yeah.
And so
That may not be true, but that's all
Yeah.
we know
Probably.
of. That's all we know of. And so
not a lot of foster community. I feel like you
Yes.
need that too. Like, I've been desperate to come to Chelsea's Monday. Was it Mondays?
yeah.
Is that when she does that?
We've got different sport group times.
Yeah, I've been wanting to
lady
come to that.
stuff is going to be a Friday or a Saturday.
Yeah, I've been want to go to that because I just feel like I need that. I feel like I need somebody
that's
that's like-minded, but also understands what
In
we're
it.
going through. And we just don't.
Yeah.
We have obviously all the people we hang out with love Jesus, so they can be on board with, oh yeah, that's hard.
Yes.
But you don't really understand if you're not in it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to even explain to people. It's I'm not complaining, because it sounds like we're complaining sometimes. It's I just need to talk to somebody about this, and I don't know who to talk to.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
in the same way that Peyton, the pastor at Redeemer in Brady, has opened my eyes over the past 8 years to church planting, in the sense that a town, and even loving the other churches in a town, that a town does not just need one good, healthy church. It needs 100 good, healthy churches.
Absolutely.
Whatever the scale is for the size of the town. It's the same thing is foster families. Like, it is, I think it is a great detriment to Brady, Texas, that we can't think of another foster family.
absolutely.
And so I think,
If you scale that, just to give you perspective, Brady's got, McCullough County is roughly 5,000, a little over 5,000 people. San Angelo's got 100,000. So you multiply 5 times 20. Right now in San Angelo, there's only 20.
So realistic, proportionally,
we're killing it.
No, those are not good stats. That's why we're doing what we're doing. It's
Yes.
right on the average. So it wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me that right now in San Angelo, we need 41 more beds to keep San Angelo kids in San Angelo.
Wow.
And we've actually lost some families over the last couple months as opposed to gaining.
Yeah.
That's been hard in Brady
20.
too, because if kids get removed from Brady, we as potentially the only foster family there, we're full.
If you're full,
If
then
we're
they've gotta go
we're
somewhere else.
consistently full, and so
Yeah.
those Brady kids have to leave. They have to go
Go to
somewhere else.
Abilene, they go to
Sometimes
Brownwood, they go to
Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
A lot of ours go to Houston, Abilene, Midland.
We've never had a Brady kid. So.
No, we've had a Mason kid, but
Mason
Out
kid.
of 20.
That's the
Because
closest.
they're
Out of
full
20.
when they get pulled.
Yep.
So it's,
and it's we keep our home open for those kids to be able to stay close to their
Yes.
families, because we have a kid in our home right now. He will be 7 hours from his parents, and that's just hard. That's it. It feels like you're setting the parents up for failure.
Yes, 'cause they're supposed to do visits.
And the parents are already in need of help.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they don't have the means to
Absolutely.
get 7 hours once a week to see their kids. And if they don't go 7 hours once a week to see their kids, it makes them look like they don't care. And so it's just like, how do you balance that?
While getting a job and keeping a job. Those are all the ups and downs. But that's why we're doing what we're doing. We're trying to affect, y'all are affecting Brady. It's exciting. And the church itself can do so much on that. And so I love what you were saying there about how Peyton's opened your eyes to church planting. And then where were you going with open the church's eyes in many ways, just the fostering journey.
Yeah, our hope would be to, at some point, JC and I will stop fostering, But that doesn't mean foster care is the end of a book for us. And we talked briefly and probably a lot of individual dreaming. What is that thing that's next? And don't know when that is. Don't have any kind of idea on that. But foster, if we're not
getting burned out yet.
Yeah, okay, we're doing okay. We're
Some
not
people
the
last for 20 years plus.
Yep.
yeah. We're not the heroes, and we also need more people to step up and not be heroes. And so that's where, at the open of this conversation, I mentioned it's difficult to figure out how to pitch foster care to people. The old adage that like every foster parent's heard whenever they talk to you about fostering was
it'd be too hard to
it's
it'd
too
be
hard
to give them up at the end.
I'd be too attached. And it's
You're
actually
supposed to.
Yeah.
You're supposed to get attached.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to hurt.
Yes, the most accurate way that we've come up with of how to describe it is I'm going to break my heart on purpose over and over again for the sake of the gospel.
And now we have 19 families in.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like that.
No, that's accurate though.
It is.
It's not worth it.
Back on the kids on the way here, JC asked Keziah, our oldest, "You have anything you want to say? Want us to say for you?"
Profound
Any
words?
things on the
Yes.
podcast, and we asked her some follow-up questions like, "What's the hardest part of fostering? What's the best part of fostering?"
Okay.
And her answer was fascinating. I've been thinking about it, that she would be able to hold the two of them together as a 9-year-old. Is the hardest part is that they leave.
Yes.
It's so hard. And recently, even the little one that was here earlier, it's had her first experience of awareness of them leaving. And it is hard. It is devastating. It's almost like it's already hard on JC and I whenever the kids leave.
But we can cognitively go, this is what we're doing.
Yes.
They're supposed to leave.
Yes.
They're supposed to go home.
But to then have
But
to...
your best friends are now not here.
Yes. And to have to hold your little ones through that is really hard. And so she said that and then asked, what's the best part? And it's that they get to be here, but then that they can also
Go back to
home.
their family.
They can go back to their families. And so...
What other arena do you get to teach your kids
Yeah.
gospel goodbyes?
I can't think of any.
And sacrifice to that degree at such an early age.
I told a lady, actually Sunday, I was at my parents' church and this girl walked up to me. I haven't seen her in years. She went to high school with me and she was like, I just don't know how you do it. I just would get so attached. And I'm like, we do. Like, we frequently talk about our very first placement. Like, where would he be? Wow, he's 7 now. I wonder what 7-year-old Mikey looks like because he's probably still a terror. Like, I bet he's a terror. But I told her, I was like, we sacrifice a small portion of our time and our life for somebody who needs it. But God gave us his entire life.
Absolutely.
And so we're just following by example of God's character. We can give you this. We can give you just a small piece of our life. We're not heroes.
Yeah.
We're just giving you a small piece of our life because God gave us his life.
And it doesn't get easier. You grow muscles. There's muscles that you work out in fostering.
Yep.
That's like, okay, I can handle this. But I think a heart properly attuned to the gospel does not get easier every time.
Yeah.
It becomes something that you can trust more,
Okay. I like
but
that.
not something that is just, 20 kids in, we're good to go. They leave. We can set that aside. Nope. It is still hard. There are kids that just recently left that we're just like, it's really hard, but man, I wake up and I'm missing them. Or I see something of theirs.
Yeah, because I asked me just a few days ago, she asked me, like, do you get sad when all the kids leave? And I was like, every one of them.
Yes.
I said, we've had only
Except
2
my
kids.
bios. When I said both the grandparents,
When
it's
they,
fantastic.
so it's a nice break. We know they're coming back.
Yes.
But we've had 2 placements that we've had to put in 30 days, and it was the hardest decision, and it was sad, and we
is hard.
prayed and cried, and it was a whole thing every time, or both times. And I told her, even those kids that we knew had to leave for y'all safety, that was a y'all safety thing. We were thinking of you guys. We still cried when they left, and we still mourn that they're gone, and we still wonder where they are. And we asked for them to be taken out of our home, and we didn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it easier because they were difficult, and we were trying to think of you guys and keep you safe. It's still just really hard.
Do y'all have a routine or a ritual or a tradition that you do when kids leave? Every single time we go get blizzards. Kids are gone, or we go out to eat. If it's lunchtime, we'll typically probably go to Chick-fil-A or something. But that's like, okay, the kids are gone. It's the first day that they're
we've done
gone.
anything like consistently, but we always try to make that the rest of that evening and then that whenever Logan's off next. So that
Yes.
weekend, a big family weekend.
That's
like
what
we,
family exactly.
Yeah, we go do something because one, we want to try and keep the kids' minds off of it sometime, but also two, we have not had just our family
Yes.
in
We
a
go
year.
all in on.
And so it's like we get to just have our four girls
there's a
for
beauty in
it's a
that.
very short window because we know we're going to be open again super soon, open to more kids, and so it's what can we do to focus on these four babies?
There's a beauty in that.
Yeah.
We give them that space to be just together, and then also that space to let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
let's sit down. Let's have some comfort food. And that's the way we go about it. Let's have some
Yeah.
comfort food, and let's cry around a table that they got to go back home or whatever.
Yeah, when kids come into our home, we have this frame that we typed out, and I'm trying to find
Probably
it.
share a picture with you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
If it's
this
beneficial
is,
for the camera.
Anyway,
but-
we take a picture with all our kids with this frame, and it just says, "This is the start of your sweet little story. The part where your page meets mine. No matter where your tale takes you tomorrow, our story will always read love." And we just
That's cool.
snap a picture with all our
Yeah.
kids when they come in. And I actually sent that to this mom that we were helping her get a fridge and a stove last weekend. I sent her the picture of her babies with that picture, and I was like, we take this picture with all our kids, and I was like, and we mean it. It will always mean love, and
Yes.
they're with you now, but they're still ours. They're our babies somewhere in our heart, and so we love them. And that means we love you because you're their mom, and we want to help you. We want to help in any way we can. And if this seems like a not super simple. It's not super simple to go out and find a stove and a fridge, but it seems simple in the grand scheme of
Yes.
abundance. We have abundance, and
Absolutely.
how can we give some of that to you?
As we kind of start to wrap up this episode, let's just leave with an encouragement or a thought to potential foster adoptive community. What encouraging words might you give them if they're thinking about going this route?
Yeah, I think I could answer that in a couple different ways. One, for me and for us, we're followers of Jesus. And so our minds and imaginations are shaped by the scriptures and by the belief that his spirit resides within us and that his gospel, his good news to rescue the world compels us. God has not called us to comfort. And he's not even called us to effectiveness. God's called us to faithfulness. Our role in the world is to faithfully be, as N.T. Wright would put it, a pocket of new creation in the world. We are future people who believe that a coming redemption is the end of history, and that through the gospel, we get to partake in bringing some of the future here, and we get to participate in that. That's what we're called to. And so fostering looks at the brokenness of not only the world, but even of my own heart. It is the reality of sin and death that has ravaged this world. And it is one of the most potent opportunities to get to participate with the Spirit in bringing new creation to the world.
I love that.
And so that is what compels us. I would say, even if you're not a believer, our society and our world desperately needs men and women who will faithfully care for those who cannot care for themselves. JC brought up a proverb, I think it's Proverbs 31:8 on the way here today, that is to speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves and to do justice for those who are in destitute. And I think that message can resonate with anybody in their walk with a faith or not walk of faith. To be a foster parent is to say, hey, there are people in this world, not only parents who have grown up in difficult situations and now trying to raise kids out of that difficult situations. There are kids that did not ask to be here, that are experiencing enormous trauma and are unsafe. And what they desperately need is a man and a woman who can love them, who can care for them, and can give them a safe place while their parents learn to become healthy. And we need more of that. There's not enough of it. And so if you're thinking about it, don't think that you are adequate enough. You're not. Don't think that you can do it. You probably can't. But just because something is hard does not mean it's not worthy. And just because something might not go the way that you expect it to does not mean that it is unsuccessful. Success in foster care changes.
Absolutely.
The bar consistently moves. And not because we're moving it, but because every single family requires something different. So,
Yeah, to piggyback off you said something about inadequacy. If you know you're inadequate, I actually think you're more qualified because you're going to be seeking to become more adequate. And so you're going to be like, we do TBRI trainings and we do all these trainings and classes, and I watch videos of seasoned foster parents. I want to know more. I want to do better for these kids. And if I thought I was adequate, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd just be like, I already got it. I know all of it. And you're not going to be adequate. It's not a thing.
I will also say that it is very hard, but there are joys and things that we've experienced as a family that we would not have experienced without it.
Absolutely.
There are ways, like you brought up earlier, that our children are growing up that, some of it's scary, but some of it also, I did not get exposed to the levels of required empathy and compassion on myself as a kid, the way that my kids are, that they have to share their space with a stranger, that share their toys. And there's depending on
their parents,
what time the kids show up, there's often an orientation that the kids take them and show them the playroom and show them all the things. And so while it is hard, there are things to be afraid of, and that's okay. The things that are worth it, the moments, specifically I referenced earlier, a huge moment for me that I think has sustained me a lot in this is God's grace with a specific little girl that came into our home that was deathly afraid of me to an extreme sense.
Yes. Yep.
Like I walk in the room and its eyes are big,
Yes.
scared, and will scream if I touch her or anything like that. And through the course of being in our home and just some consistency, constantly going, I don't know how to do this. I'm asking JC, what can I do? And she's going, just keep trying, trying. They left our home for I would say probably a couple of months before they left. She was screaming my name and running to me whenever she would see me.
It's beautiful.
And so, smiling. She was not. She was just not a smiley little girl. And you get a 2-year-old into your house, and 2-year-olds are laughing and playful, and she was just not. She was not. And by the time she left, she was laughing and playing. Yes. We have one of my all-time favorite photos of any of our kids is her holding her hand and just laughing.
Yes.
And so it's just so sweet to see her be able to have that felt safety.
And what a picture of so many of our relationships with the Father.
Yes.
Right there. Like whatever trauma I have from the past has kept me from running to him. And over time, just slowly.
Yes.
This relationship, because
and not every story has been a success story like that. But it's those little moments that sustain you, that remind you that I think it's God's grace on us that goes, hey, I see you. And even the ones that you have felt like you failed, I'm still in charge of that baby. Yeah. That baby's still mine, and I will see them to the end. Those little moments of grace appear that I wouldn't have got that today.
Absolutely.
I think just remembering too that if it doesn't hurt when they leave, you're not doing it correctly.
Yes.
It's supposed to hurt. It's supposed to be hard. These kids come into your house and their lives are shattered, and you're trying to mend their little hearts. And often, every time, that takes a piece of your heart to fill in the place for their heart. And your heart, we just have like pieces of our hearts all over Texas right now.
Yes.
And it's hard. It's still hard.
Absolutely.
So it's not going to get easier, but you do develop muscles, and it's worth every bit of heartbreak.
It's an honor. It's an honor to have our hearts broken over and over again.
We got Ma and Pa.
Yes.
Just
but
several kids.
Yeah, several kids.
It's incredible. And I'm proud of you too. Massive encouragement to Chelsea and I, and just love that we, in many ways, have walked the journey alongside each other. Yeah. 75 miles apart, but pretty much the same amount of time. Y'all have had a few more kiddos than we have. But
does that make us more successful or less successful?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Somewhere in there.
That's
it.
That's right. What am I doing?
What am I doing?
But no, y'all are a massive encouragement to us, and thankful for what y'all are doing.
We love y'all.
In Brady, in that sense. So that wraps up another episode of the Open Homes Initiative podcast. So thanks for watching, and subscribe, share, all those good things if you will.